welcome to No Broken Legs. I am your host, Evan Belfiore. We're back after a little break because the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and joining me to talk about it is my regular co-host, Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, it was your birthday yesterday, so happy 40th birthday, and welcome back to the pod.
Thanks, brother. I had an okay birthday, hanging out with the fam, and we got April 20th today, so don't forget to leave your nuggets out for Uncle Willie.
And also joining us to talk about everything NBA is our NBA expert, Brandon Fenty. Brandon, welcome back.
Evan, always a pleasure. Happy birthday and belated birthday, Jimmy, the big 4-0. That's exciting.
If you say so.
Well, I mean, you turned 40, so we all got to send you the Oklahoma State coach, I'm 40, I'm a man gif, and that's really the rite of passage that it is now.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I got it about 4 times, and I smiled every time. So
that doesn't seem like enough, knowing our friends.
You want to pick on somebody? Pick on me.
Oh, that was one of the great coach rants. One of the great coach rants ever. But what we got together to talk about isn't coach rants. It is to talk NBA basketball. Most of the games are 2 games in. We have the Nets and Celtics just ended the third quarter, and the 76ers Raptors are at halftime. We'll get to those series here in a second, but what we really need to start with is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jimmy, a disappointing end to what looked like a very promising season. The Cavs lose both the play-in games, and on the bright side, though, they do get a first-round pick back. Do you think the first-round pick is more important than playing the Heat in the series like I do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was still a promising season. I think they far exceeded their over-win total. I think as a team, they played really well. I don't know, they had some health concerns down the stretch. They played a lot of, while they won't get to play any playoff basketball per se, they played a lot of important big games down the stretch. Unfortunately, they came out on the losing side of most of them, but they did at least get a big game feel. Unfortunately, because we expected him to take a pretty big step forward this year, Okoro seemed a little bit out of his element in those big games, but Mobley still played well. Allen did what he could do, and Garland played good in spots as well. So I think it was still a promising season. I would rather have the draft pick than go get beat up on by the Heat.
Brandon, Jimmy mentioned it there. Garland and Mobley did not look like the moment was too big for them. That's a very promising sign. Allen, obviously coming off the injury there, hadn't played in a while, so his performance was a little up and down. The future's bright for the Cavs. The biggest question this team is going to kind of have is what are they going to do with Karis LeVert and Colin Sexton? I've been constantly saying that those 2 guys are basically the same guy, and it doesn't make sense to me to have one of them, let alone 2. What do you think they do to improve this roster? Because, like Jimmy said, it doesn't look like Okoro is going to be the guy that they can rely on to be a reliable starter for them.
Yeah, they've ever since the King left, they've had a huge hole at that small forward. Okoro's a little bit small for some of those bigger wings. Even the Jimmy Butler sizes up. I know Butler listed 6'7". He's really 6'6.5". You know how that goes.
Yeah,
but
Okoro's maybe 6'4". He's more of a 2 guard.
Exactly. And they slotted him at the 3. It was really promising when they drafted him, but yeah, they really need to upgrade that small forward. I've been really bearish on Colin Sexton leaving the Cavs. I think they've tried to shop him before, and I applaud his somewhat professionalism. We see how some of these guys are when they get shopped, they want to act like little whiny babies. But
James Harden,
yeah, I mean James Harden. We can go down the entire list. Some guys out there, if they even sniff, they're getting, they're on the trade tracker.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. So. Yeah, I think that's the first need. Cedi Osman obviously is up and down. That's one of our least favorite Cavaliers this year. I would love to see them get away from Colin Sexton and get more of a facilitating first point guard. We see the success they had this year with both Rondo and Ricky Rubio, and Garland said that most of his success this year, he trains with Steph Curry, yeah, sure, but he attributed a lot of the success to the leadership that Rubio and Rondo brought to the table with their point guard perspective. So,
I don't think it's a fluke that probably the best stretch of basketball they played was when Ricky Rubio was playing at his best during the season.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Now that does bring up another question though, which is if Ricky Rubio is that important to your team, how good is your team actually?
Yeah, it's fair.
That's not, people will probably take that as a slight against the Cavs, but they really shouldn't, because Darius Garland's in his third year and Evan Mobley is in his first year, and we don't expect Evan Mobley to even begin entering his peak for another 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, think about that. Like we think about how much better we expect Mobley to be in 3 to 4 years when he actually fills out and goes from being, a young man to a fully grown man.
Yeah, because I think the difference, I really felt like the difference in the game with Atlanta and the difference that I feel like Atlanta playing the Heat to the Cavs playing the Heat, like Brandon, we were kind of texting about it in our group chat. Like, you knew there was going to be a point in that game where Trae Young inserted himself as the best player on the court. He was going to elevate. I mean, when he started making threes from the logo, like, that was ridiculous. And right now, the Cavs do not have a player to get to that level. I think Mobley can, and I think Garland probably can grow into that as well. Like, the Heat, they might lose one game to the Hawks because they just can't contain Trae Young. I don't think the Cavs have that player yet, but Ricky Rubio definitely, like you said, like, how good is the team? But Ricky Rubio got everybody in the right spots at the right time, and it worked. But I agree with you. They need that facilitator, and they need all the young guys to be able to have the time to take that next step forward.
I know things worked pretty well for them with Markkanen at the 3, but if this team wants to really elevate into a championship contender, they're going to have to find somebody to play the 3 that moves Markkanen to the bench. And they need to find, like I've said, they need to find their version of Chris Middleton. They need to find a lengthy wing defender who can also create a little bit and make shots, but is okay being a second or third creator. And I don't know where the hell that guy is, because that's what everybody's looking for. But I would just like to see him take a swing at whoever the closest version of that is when their draft pick comes up. I've just been screaming for them to take an athletic wing for years, and God damn it, I think they might actually do it this year.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe they'll draft another 5'9" point guard.
That's it. Yeah, 5'9" point guard or center or power forward. Yeah,
or like the Anthony Bennett, like 6'8" tweener that when they took him, it's like, what position does that guy play?
Left bench. There you go.
God damn it.
Yeah. Poor. I just want to say shout out to Lauri Markkanen, man. Poor Markkanen jumping in when Jarrett Allen went out and was injured. And every big man in the NBA was having to switch, having Markkanen switch on them for defense. And he was just getting straight abused in the paint.
Yeah, he's just not a good defender.
Yeah, shout out to Markkanen for keeping his chin up and still pushing forward after that, because I'd have quit a long time ago.
He made enough threes to justify his spot on the roster. Even if he was coming off the bench and being, like a 12-point-a-night scorer off the bench with a second unit with like Colin Sexton and Ricky Rubio, like that's kind of something if you again have somebody to start for you at the 3, which the Cavs just don't.
Yeah, every other game Markkanen seems to have that tomahawk jam that's like, oh my god, what is this guy doing? And then the next game he'll be like 6 points, 3 rebounds, couple free throws. Like, where did he go? So yeah, shout out to Lauri.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate because he gets hunted. I mean, that was the matchup the Hawks were looking for. Can we get Markkanen on Trae Young, and we're just going to make him look foolish? But Trae Young and his Hawks have not had much success against the Heat so far. They dropped Game 2 yesterday by 10. The Heat lead this series 2-0. Brandon, I think the Heat would have swept the Cavs. Are the Heat in the process of sweeping the Hawks?
You know what? They're going back to Atlanta, right, for the next game because it's 2-0. And I honestly think that like you said, Trae Young might get hot and they could sneak a game in there. I think Chicago is more likely to sneak a game on Milwaukee, believe it or not. But yeah, I think they could sneak one in there and it'll be 4-1 for the series. But I definitely would not be surprised if it's just a clean sweep. The Miami machine, as I like to call it, is just exactly what they are. They play a specific way, a specific style. Every dude's in shape from top down to the coach to Pat Riley. So, yeah, I don't know. I have them at least in the Eastern Conference Finals. But yeah, I could see them definitely dropping one game in Atlanta. Just Trae Young gets hot and Herter gets hot on the wing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Jimmy, do you have any interest in the Heat at plus? You can get them as high as plus 900 right now.
Yeah, the last time, if you guys remember, the last time we recorded an NBA pod, I picked the Heat to win the Eastern Conference, and I got them at plus 1,200 then. They're at plus 900 now. I'm interested in it. I think the Eastern Conference
is for the title.
Yeah. Yes.
They're just to make sure we understand that.
Yeah. If you're not going to bet Milwaukee, bet whoever you want. Milwaukee's probably coming out of the East, but if you're not going to bet Milwaukee, it's going to be something wonky. So throw some money at Philadelphia or throw some money at Miami.
The Heat, they just have that, and you saw it from Jimmy Butler. He's going to win you 2 games every series. He showed it in the bubble. He may pull back that game after he goes for 35 plus and plays great defense, but he's going to help you win games. And I don't know if it's going to be enough to get him to a championship, but I like them a lot more than the Sixers.
Yeah, because I think at some point the performance that Joel Embiid is putting on, it's going to wear down unless Harden gets way better real quick. I think the Sixers' time in the playoffs might only be one round because Embiid's going to wear down having to put out the performances he's putting out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially if they wind up meeting in the Eastern Conference final, or I'm sorry, if they wind up meeting in, it'd be round 2, right? Because Philly's 4 and Miami's 1.
Yeah.
I can just see Miami just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Philly. And if Harden is the Harden of today and not the Harden of yesteryear, or doesn't, nothing has indicated in his career that he's going to take that next step in the playoffs. It's been the exact opposit. So, I could just see them throwing literally everything at Embiid and him wearing down. And by game 5 or 6, he's like, damn, I'm going to have to keep trying to draw fouls because I can't do anything else in this game. So,
yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to just throw defenders at James Harden and they're going to pester the shit out of him. And as you said, you don't trust Harden to rise to the occasion. I don't trust Harden to rise to the occasion. Jimmy, I'm going to guess that you don't expect James Harden to rise to the occasion either.
No, but it's actually been weird though, because we know in a crucial playoff game within a series, we know Harden isn't going to score big points, but he's just not even playing well. He's not creating. There's no assists. There's no big defensive plays. He's just not playing well, and it's weird. Somehow playoff Harden has gotten worse. That's rough.
Can they? This is just sort of a question for either of you. Can they get by if Maxi's going to continue to be putting up 20 points a night? Can that be enough to make up for Harden not being as good as expected?
I don't believe so against the Miami or Milwaukee, to be honest. I just think that depth chart wise, it's not favorable for Philly. Yes, Maxey is taking the sort of leap forward. It kind of reminds me of that sort of Jamal Murray, what's the guy on Utah? What's his name? Donovan Mitchell tier of type player. That's what he's sort of reminding me of. But we've seen teams do well against those type of players when they have that sort of Phoenix Suns way and Miami way of just throwing 1,000 guys at you and disrupting you defensively. So I just don't think Philly will have enough to get by neither Miami nor Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you disagree with us, you can get the Sixers for as much as plus 1,400. I think that's a fool's bet. I think you're better off putting your money on if you're gonna look at a longer shot. I like the Nets at plus 1,100 a lot better.
Let's do Brooklyn Nets.
I know They're currently playing right now, and they had a lead going into the fourth quarter, and it is currently 99-94 Celtics. The Celtics have come out and have outscored the Nets 14-4 to start the fourth quarter.
What? Whoa! The Nets aren't playing defense. Whoa!
Oh, it's almost like a team that doesn't have any good defensive players.
Man, you know what?
Go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to say, you know what they seem to be missing? A really defensive-minded, tall, lanky, light-skinned black dude.
Are you suggesting that the trade they made where the Cavs just swooped in and got Jared Allen to facilitate the James Harden trade, who our listeners who are keener may have noticed is no longer on the Brooklyn Nets because he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
So anybody's reaction. Andre Drummond has played 24 minutes this game.
That is a reaction and a half. In a playoff game, no, I don't think that's. I don't think that will net you a victory to start Andre Drummond or to play him anything more than 15, 20 minutes a game. To be honest, so let him come in for a spell and let everyone else catch their breath. But yeah, his slow pace for the game is not what will get you to the promised land against some of these elite teams. Definitely not.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown leading the way for Boston with 22 points. Jason Tatum, 12 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He gets the main defensive assignments most of the time. Nick Wright has said he's knocking on the door to superstardom. Do you think he's going to get there these playoffs? Do you think Boston's going to get by these Nets?
I think they'll get by the Nets because the Nets don't seem to give a shit about defense in the fourth quarter. So I agree. I think he's knocking on the door. I think he'll have every chance to prove himself to be a superstar next round.
Yeah, I agree 100. I was going to say I agree with that too. I don't think that this is a good litmus test despite the two superstars on the other team in Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Just like you said, Jimmy, the stylistically, they don't play defense late in the fourth quarter. Their interior defense is just god-awful atrocious. And I just don't think that we can look at this game and say, oh, Jason Tatum, stayed blow for blow with both Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Sure, those are great names, but just looking at it, I watched the first two. I watched the first game, and it just seemed like normal Jason Tatum stuff. He hits tough shots. We know this. You know what I mean? He's going to hit a couple of things in the fourth quarter mostly, but I just don't think that this is the round to say that Jason Tatum is going to take that step to superstardom.
Yeah, you can get the Celtics to win the title at plus 750. They are plus 330, although you can get that as high as plus 450 to win the East. I like the Celtics in this series, but I don't like them moving forward, primarily because I like the other teams better. And I know they got Grant Williams back, but there's just a part of my being that won't let me bet on Al Horford in the playoffs.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like, just way too many memories of his Hawks teams failing and then his Boston Celtics teams failing. And I just feel like if he's playing significant minutes for your team in the playoffs, you have a hard ceiling, and that hard ceiling is you might be able to sneak the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't see you making the NBA Finals or really competing if you manage to squeeze your way in.
Yeah.
So you're saying Al Horford has a curse over him in the playoffs? What do you mean?
all we hear is people from Boston, because NBA media is filled with Boston people, so they always pump up the Celtics, and they love Al Horford, who sounds like he's a great guy. It's just he's just not good enough in the playoffs when you need guys to be better.
You will get your words to be written into fruition, because if they pass them, then they have to basically play Milwaukee. So we will watch the Greek Freak just shit all over Al Horford once again, and it'll be another second or third round exit for the Horford Celtics. So
Well, you brought up the Milwaukee Bucks. I like them to win the NBA title and repeat. They're plus 450. They are plus 200. They're the favorites to come out of the East. I think they're the best team. I think they know exactly who they are. They know exactly how to play. They know exactly how to win. Is this series going to be a sweep, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think if Chicago could not win the ugly game the other night, I don't think they're going to be able to win a game. They uglied it up, got it exactly how they wanted, and they still couldn't get a win. I don't think they'll get a win. I think the Bucks will get the easy sweep.
Anything to add to that, Brandon? Do you think the Bulls can make this a series?
I don't think they can make it a series. If they keep it ugly, like Jimmy said, then they could probably ugh their way to one victory in Chicago. But I don't think that they can win in Milwaukee, because you see how crazy those Milwaukee fans are. B, just looking at the Milwaukee Bucks lineup, like they can go 9-10 deep and be just fine. Like the drop off, other than Giannis, that doesn't count. But other than Giannis and Drew Holiday, the drop off isn't that far from 3 through 9, 3 through 10 on their team. So they're way too deep, and there's no way. I don't even know what Chicago would need to do. I mean, Tristan Thompson is the Giannis stopper, and he's not having a good series so far. So there's literally nothing else they can do.
This podcast just fucking slams Tristan Thompson all the time. He was a vital part of the 2016 championship run, and he's a better player than he's gotten respect on this podcast for. But that's mainly because he hasn't been a very good basketball player in a number of years. He hasn't been nearly the player he was when he played with LeBron, and we see that with a lot of players. And he's also gotten a little older, and his inability to shoot really limits his effectiveness on the court, because he was never a rim protector or a particularly great interior defender. He was just a big that could kind of stick with guys on the perimeter.
Yeah, and rebound, offensive rebounds were his bread and butter.
Yeah,
but
that was what he brought that won the 2016 title. That was his big contribution.
It's all about fit. If you have a LeBron team, you're moving out of the way, or you're catching lobs from arguably the greatest player of all time. Now you have Vucevic and DeRozan and Levine, like those. It's just not a fit. And like you said, he hasn't really been good since that specific playoff run, and that was it. And I can tell you exactly what happened. So the Cavs won the championship, right? And then the next year they won the East and lost in the finals. And then LeBron leaves. So the first game, like a week before the first game of the season, they interviewed Tristan Thompson and said, how do you feel about the season, blah, blah, blah. And Tristan said these exact words. He said, hey, the East still runs through Cleveland. And this is right when LeBron left, right? We are still the team to beat. And then the Cavs had just a god-awful record, and they were just atrocious that year. So it was at that point where Tristan Thompson's entire career changed, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But I think that might have also intersected with him hooking up with a Kardashian as well. So.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Those two at the same time. It happened at the same time.
It's a good thing he got that chip, because I don't think he's getting another one. So you just we jokingly mentioned as the Giannis stopper, if there is somebody who could kind of slow Giannis down, because I think he's reached that level where when he's really getting at it, you're just hoping to make him work hard to get what he's going to get. Is Ben Simmons going to come back and play basketball? How effective would you expect him to be, Brandon?
That's I want him to be great. I like it for the basketball sense. We talked about this. I think we talked about this on the last time I was on your pod, where, it's a fit. You know what I mean? It's a great fit for what he's bringing to the team. But after missing all of this basketball, and they're expecting him to come in and swing home runs at the power forward and just be this sort of defensive guru that he's been over the course of his very short NBA career. I don't know if they'll have enough, or if he'll even have enough reps with the guys on the team. The reps do matter. They might win the first game, and that usually happens when guys come back or superstars get together. They win the first game by like 20, 30 points. Everyone pats them on the back and says, oh my God, this is going to be a great fit. and then you see them struggle for every other game because they're still trying to figure out where everybody needs on the court. You know what I mean? Like what's Kyrie going to do with his paint wizardry? And he finishes at the rim better than just about every guard I've ever seen play in the NBA. If Ben Simmons is sitting there either in the short corner or close to the rim, and his guy is able to help on Kyrie, what do you do in those instances? You know what I mean?
Jimmy, I'm sure you've heard the suggestion that people should just foul Ben Simmons, just do the hack of Ben. Is that a strategy? First of all, do you think that would be effective? Is that something you would try to do? I mean, I don't know. It's not exactly in the spirit of the game, but it's the playoffs and you're hoping to win.
I don't think you would need to do that to beat the team. Do you think to sort of move on from that then, do you think what Brandon mentioned with the defensive rotations, that with them bringing him in to be a defensive stopper, that it may end up working out the opposite, where that lack of communication leads to defensive breakdowns? Yeah, I mean, we're not like we're, no disrespect to Kyrie or KD. These aren't like super high basketball IQ guys. I don't think they're going to be able to be in the right spot at the right time as a team to make anything work. I don't know what it's going to look like. There's no way they know what it's going to look like. And how long are you going to stick with it? If he's on the floor and the other team goes on a 12-0 run and you have to score points, you can't leave him on the floor because he's not going to shoot.
But there's a clip of him making a 3-pointer in the corner in practice. Doesn't that mean he can shoot now?
No.
I really liked Ben Simmons I like the idea of Ben Simmons as a player. And Nick Wright often talks about how the Nets are a team that people like the idea of. And I feel like they're the perfect combination of, as an idea, it works so beautifully, or it should work so beautifully, but nothing with the Brooklyn Nets has worked as expected, and they're in the midst of blowing this game because
oh my God,
it's the fourth quarter, there's 2 minutes left, and the Brooklyn Nets, who have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, two people I'm routinely reminded are among the best closers in NBA history, and the Brooklyn Nets have scored 6 points in the fourth quarter.
Well, they both did a great job of closing when they had other MVPs on the court with them.
I mean, it's a true statement.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to defend Kyrie. I mean, I didn't like Kyrie when he was a Cav, so I'm sure as hell not going to defend him now.
Yeah, Boston is proving their defensive chops, and I am a New York homer when it comes to my basketball, but credit where credit is due. The way they've had basically like a number one or number two all-time defensive statistical team for most of or half of this year, and it's carrying over into this game. I think they figured something out with putting Marcus Smart at more of the point guard / facilitator role, and I think that was a huge difference there. And obviously he has the defensive chops, but yeah. I don't know if anyone has Boston sweeping them, but we might have to watch out.
Yeah, because I think they lose this game. I think if they lose this game, I don't think the Nets okay. I don't think they. I don't think they're going to try to fight back.
I mean, that would obviously they're not going to blow up like they did with LeBron and the Lakers missing the playoffs, but I mean they should. I mean, this team has Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
it's okay.
It just blows, yeah, because Ben Simmons is going to have a whole off season to get his head right and make 3-pointers in empty gyms with nobody yelling at him. I'm just mad because because it should work. It really should, but it doesn't. And to see Joel Embiid has gotten his shit together, and he spent this last offseason really working, and I think we talked about it in one of the previous podcasts this year, that he got his shit together and he got his body right. And instead of Brandon, you always criticized him for eating fucking cheeseburgers before the basketball games.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, take this seriously and be a beast.
He would eat 2 double cheeseburgers from McDonald's and drink a Shirley Temple before the game. It's like, wait a minute. Like, that is not an NBA diet if I've ever heard one, okay?
Especially for a guy who's often injured or has had problems with injuries.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're at in the East. We'll keep following. There's about $110 left in this game, and the Celtics are up 110-100. So I can't imagine Brooklyn's going to come back, but if they do, that'd be very impressive. Moving over to the west side of the bracket, injuries are sort of a looming story with Dallas missing Luka and Phoenix now wondering about Devin Booker's hamstring. Jimmy, how big is that Devin Booker injury for this round and possibly next round if they get by New Orleans?
I don't think it really matters for the first 2 rounds. I think without Devin Booker, they can win the first 2 rounds pretty easily, especially if Luka's not 100%. If Luka comes back, Dallas wins, and you're minus Devin Booker.
Dallas might win even without Luka because Utah's a fucking mess.
Yeah, because we know what Utah is. So, yeah, I don't think Devin Booker. I don't think you have to have Devin Booker until the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, the odds are not showing any slowdown with the Suns. Bettors don't seem to be worried about this injury, Brandon. The Suns are still the favorites overall at plus 320. Do you agree with Jimmy that they'll be just fine for round 1 and round 2, even if Luka's back?
I think at least round 1, with a guy like Luka, I mean, we're talking about Jason Tatum taking that step to superstardom, and can we, all 3 of us fairly agree that Luka is a superstar?
I say yes.
Yeah, so guys like that
I think his playoff performances have been fantastic, even though he hasn't won a series. Those Clippers teams have guys designed to stop him, and they couldn't.
It couldn't do a thing. And I think just you always have to be careful with a guy like that because they can win you a game. They have enough, and their defense is super underrated. No one's talking about their defense that I know of. But, yeah, I think they can – for Phoenix, they can at least get past the Pelicans. It would be feisty. And as we can see, the Pelicans will not go down without, punching a puncher's chance. But – the next round, let's just say Dallas does get by Utah, which all accounts that are given now, I believe they will. And Luka comes back. It might be tough for Phoenix. I'm not sure if they will have enough to get by that Dallas team.
I personally today, one of my favorite things to see was media taking shots at the Lakers because Brandon Ingram had a single playoff game. As if the trading Brandon Ingram didn't win them a championship. So that just kind of shows the state of covering the Lakers right now. Like, everybody's just taking ridiculous pot shots. The question I still have about New Orleans is, where the fuck is Zion?
He's on the bench with his team. I don't know why he's playing. Why he's not playing. There's been
we saw him dunking in a video a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
he said he's ready to play. His camp says he's ready to play.
There does seem to be a miscommunication. I don't know if it's a miscommunication, but team doctors and the team seems to be communicating different things than the Zion camp. So what's going on there? I'm not sure. I did predict that there might be some politicking going on here. Maybe the Pelicans are not wanting him to play and maybe come back too soon or what's going on, but. Yeah, imagine Zion all of a sudden is healthy and comes back, and Booker's not back, and then the offense just starts humming and clicking, which I don't think it would. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Zion. I hope he gets back soon. If not, then get the hell out of New Orleans. Seems to be seems to be the key for him now.
Where do you think Zion plays basketball next year, Jimmy? Does Zion play basketball next year?
I think a healthy Zion plays in New Orleans next year. That's what I think.
That would be best for the league.
I don't even think Brandon's Knicks can make a move for this version of Zion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, how do you not want to go out there and play with CJ McCollum? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, and he's really elevated his game since getting out of Damian Lillard's shadow. He's played really good basketball.
So there has been, and Jimmy, you're more of a Portland fan, Dame Lillard fan than I am. Everyone has said that CJ should be more of the facilitator on the team, but obviously when you're on a team with a Damian Lillard, that's not going to happen. So, I've said it in the chat. I'll say it here. He now has the keys to, be that guy, to be the guy to set the offense, to be the fast court facilitator of, maybe draw and kick and stuff like that, as opposed to catch it off the dribble and then, shoot over a defender or what have you. So I think this is the CJ that has been unlocked, that has always been there. It's just a new offense, new facilitation, and playing with a guy who I would say Brandon Ingram is just a tick under CJ McCollum as far as on-court impact. Playing with a guy like that, who's still great and can get you a bucket when he needs to, is definitely putting CJ on that next level. So if he does this next year, we might be talking all-star, or, who knows what the sky is for him.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think CJ playing with a mind-right Brandon Ingram and a healthy Zion, I think CJ is an all-star. I think he might even be second or third team All-NBA. Like, I think CJ McCollum has that skill set, but he's already got to be kind of soured on the situation. Like, why the hell won't this guy get on the court if he can dunk in gyms? Like, it's just so weird to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I don't think New Orleans has much hope of making any deep playoff runs without Zion. And Dallas is basically in the same boat with Luka. He has the calf strain. It looks like they're going to be able to get by Utah. Like, Jimmy, Utah they seem to be that 60 wins Atlanta Hawks team, those Toronto Raptors teams that were winning in the high 50s. I can't remember if Utah actually hit 60 wins, but they look like they're ready for a breakup between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Who between those two would you hold on to if you had to move on from one?
Do we know what their contract situations are?
I can look that up.
Because I believe they're both still under contract next year.
I think so. I know the Knicks would have to trade for him if so. He's not going to be unrestricted for at least another 3-4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
If that was the case, I'm going to fleet Brandon's Knicks for Donovan.
He is signed for all the way. He won't be. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2026. His salary escalates each year. It's $28 million this year. In 25-26 season, when he is 29 years old, it will be $37 million.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let the Knicks make another Carmelo trade and just take everything they have and give them Donovan Mitchell and put pieces around Rudy Gobert.
You kind of have to.
Gobert's contract is
I think he signed at around the same time, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, if the internet was working, I'd be able to tell you. This website's being stupid. All right, Rudy Gobert is signed through the 2026 season, so he has a similar contract that escalates. He was paid $35 million this year. His salary will top out at the 25-26 season when he is 33 years old at $46.6 million. So he is about $8 million more a year, $8 to $9 million more a year.
Is it
and a little older?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we know how much New York wants Donovan, so that's what we're gonna do.
Do you just think Donovan Mitchell's not going to reach that superstar level that some of us are like people are hoping for or predicting for him?
He could. I mean,
you just said he's kind of like Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy. So I mean, like Carmelo Anthony was a great player. He was a great scorer, but I don't think he was always a bigger name than he was sort of a playoff performer.
Probably, but I think just like Melo, I think going back home to that area, I think it would be good for Donovan. It would be good for his brand, and clearly, obviously the Jazz have to break it up. This is just not a team not that there's anything wrong with having your supervillain coach go to the playoffs every year, but they can't win. They can't win playoff series, so you got to break it up. And I think you can get more value for Donovan than you could for Rudy.
That I'll agree with that as far as the value goes. I mean, yes, Rudy Gobert is arguably an all-time great defensive center or defensive big man in the NBA, but as far as the way the game is played, as far as trade value, I think more teams will be willing to get that, that sort of Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey,
Yep.
that sort of tier guard that's going to lead their offense. So I know I would.
Yeah.
If I were a GM today, I definitely would rather go for Donovan Mitchell than Rudy Gobert.
I'm of two minds on this, and it's because guards have sort of become kind of easy to find. Like there's just we're in a golden age of guards. Everybody seems to be able to handle the basketball and create, and it seems that what you really need are those big athletic wing players that can create, play defense, play on both sides of the court. And neither Golbert or Donovan Mitchell is that guy. And it just sort of, when you look at Utah, you see how important those athletic wing players are, because Utah's perimeter defense is what causes Golbert to get caught out of position and look bad a lot of the time. He's trying to cover two things at once, and he just can't because he's just one person.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that exact thing. That imagine if Gobert, I mean, their perimeter offense looked atrocious. And shout out to Jalen Brunson. I've said this, for half the year. Just I would love to have a guy like that on my team. Just he makes the right decisions. He knows when to shoot. He can shoot. I like my guards. I like my point guards that can actually put the ball in the basket from three. It makes the offense that much easier. And they just spread the Jazz out the whole game, and there was nothing they can do. The driving lanes were wide open because that perimeter defense was god awful. So, yeah.
And then how far, Jimmy, do you think Dallas can get if Luka comes back and he's fully healthy? Do you think they can give Phoenix a run for their money in the next round if they get by Utah?
If Luka is actually fully healthy and Booker does not play, I would absolutely give them a puncher's chance, because I just love Luka. I think his game is great. And especially if Brunson and Kleber are finding like another level of confidence playing without Luka, what the floor will open up for them with Luka, even against a great Suns defense, I think they would have a chance against Phoenix.
Plus 5,000 to win the title, if you're looking for a long shot.
Plus 5,000
and plus 2,200 to win the West. So if you think Luka can give Phoenix a run, that's Nick Wright's predicted that Luka's going to make a LeBron-esque 2007 run. Do you think he has that in him, Brandon? If he comes, even if he could, let's just assume he comes back healthy. Do you think he has that in him?
It's possible. Like I said, for the superstar tier, and I'm of the same mind that you have, Evan, when you talk about the Hall of Fame, how the NBA Hall of Fame is really lax when it comes to allowing certain players and certain types of persons to enter.
It's not the NBA Hall of Fame.
I'm sorry, the basketball Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, they take college career into account, and the bar for what counts as an NBA Hall of Famer is pretty low.
So I think that exact same way when it comes to NBA superstars, there should only really be 4 or 5 of those guys in the whole league, and I think
no, Brandon, this is the modern NBA where there's like 40 superstars.
There can't be, like, you can't. They use that. Oh, is Jimmy Butler a super? No, Jimmy Butler's not a superstar. Okay, he can score 23, 25, 27 a game. He's not a superstar. Okay, so I think Luka is a legitimate superstar, and for that S tier type person. There's always another level that they can reach, and I don't think we've seen it yet. So, I do truly think that he has that second tier of holy shit, look what this guy did. And if he can do that in the playoffs, I think they can make a true run. But as far as this year, I'm not sure it happens this year just because of injuries and team roster. But I think he has it in him to happen maybe next year. I don't think this year.
All right, let's just talk about the Golden State Warriors because they look really fucking good, and it's
Ugh.
very infuriating.
As a Cavs fan, you are. I'm sure you say that, right?
Just
I,
to see Jordan Poole, like that was kind of what I was holding on to, was that like Kuminga and Poole and Wiggins they just wouldn't be as good in the playoffs, and it doesn't matter if the rest of those guys stink because Jordan Poole looks amazing. Jimmy, like what the fuck is going on?
I think the Warriors are going to win the title.
Oh, boo,
Dude, I'm there.
boo, boo.
Like they finally found a little bit more offense, so Draymond does not have to worry about shooting the basketball, and he can just go back to being the best defender on the court. He's making Jokic look horrible. I think he might be the one guy left in the NBA playoffs after this first round that can really frustrate Giannis when it comes down to it. And Steph looks great. Clay looks great. Poole's playing out of his mind. Wiggins, I think they're going to win the title. I hate to say it. I think that's going to happen.
Brandon, Jimmy has abandoned us, and I hate to say it, but I think I agree with him.
No. So, all right.
I still like Milwaukee, but Golden State scares the shit out of me.
Hold on. Let me reel us back a little bit from the deep end here, okay? Because we've jumped a little bit too far into the pool. All right. So, first of all, they're playing Denver for the first round. I understand Jordan Poole looks really good, but who Denver's starting Aaron Gordon at the small forward.
They're not a very good defensive team.
Like depth-wise, they don't have that defensive depth on the wing. So if they play a team like a Memphis, okay, I have Memphis winning this series. If it's not going to be 4-2, it'll be 4-3. But I definitely have Memphis winning this series. And I want to see Golden State. Of course, there's Steph Curry, there's Draymond, and everything. But I just don't. I can't have them winning the title this year. I just not beating up on a hapless Denver team that sure they have Nikola Jokic, but like you said, Jokic is playing directly into Golden State's hands. He's getting super frustrated. He gets frustrated, but you don't see it on this level to where he's almost getting kicked out of every game. 5 minutes into the game, so I just can't see it. I can't see it yet.
Like I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about who the opponent is, but stylistically, it looks like they have the death lineup again. I mean, they scored 70 points in 19 minutes. Like, I don't care what defense you're playing. That's ridiculous. Steph looks rejuvenated. Clay looks like he's ready to defend some people. I want to see Phoenix and Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. I think it'd be a great matchup. But they just look really good. They're playing with that confidence again that made them damn near unbeatable. Maybe Jordan Poole comes back down to earth, but man, they look really good.
That's my hope, is that Phoenix can just throw enough long defenders at them to slow them down and frustrate Wiggins and Poole.
Yeah, Phoenix runs that sort of havoc defense. They've done a really good job, like you said, just literally guys coming at you left and right, just throwing everything they can. They do, the NBA is a switch league, and they do just switch everything on the wing, and I think they have enough to at least keep up with Golden State. But I just don't see Golden State getting over Phoenix, this iteration of Phoenix's roster, if everyone stays healthy, like you said. If there's no Booker, then we'll have a problem.
All right, you've talked me off the ledge because I'm remembering that Chris Paul tends to annoy the shit out of Steph Curry.
He's got to. He's got to.
He dogs him. He tends to get the better of that matchup.
They are a switch-heavy team. They have Ayton who can hold down the paint. I don't see Draymond pushing him around. He'll get in his head a little bit because that's what Draymond does. But, yeah, I just don't see them getting past Phoenix. If they do play Phoenix, I think I would have to pick Phoenix in 7. I'd have to pick that.
Is that dependent on Devin Booker's hamstring?
Yeah, right, correct. If Devin Booker comes back,
So if Devin Booker ends up missing any time, you like Golden State to come out of the West.
Out of the West, like you said, stylistically. So I've said it before. I like Memphis, and
Man,
I didn't want.
You just can't let Memphis go, bud.
Well, let's go to that next series
can't.
because Golden State's probably gonna wrap this up in foe. So Memphis and Minnesota are tied at 1. Minnesota comes out and they get the first game. Ant-Man looked really good. KAT looking pretty good here in the playoffs, and then just fucking Ja said, I'm Ja Morant, and I'm putting my fucking foot down. You seem to think that he's going to be able to ride that. Do you like them against Golden State? You seem to like that matchup. Do you think they can beat them?
I like the matchup. It'll be tough, but I said they're playing Denver, and everyone's looking superhuman in this first round for Golden State. I think Golden State still gets by a Memphis or Minnesota. I have Memphis winning the series against Minnesota. Then I have Golden State getting by Memphis, but I think that's more of the games that I'd be interested in watching, just to see the toughness of Jordan Poole, to see how they, navigate, because Memphis is going to smack you in the face. You know what I mean? They're
it's
going
a stress
to throw...
test for how good the Warriors actually are.
Exactly. So I'm looking more at that series there. I think Golden State still gets by them. I hope Memphis gets by Golden State. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would work. It just doesn't seem to work on paper. But the reason why I'm so high on Memphis is just like I said, stylistically, how they play defense, how they move motor wise with Steven Adams in the paint being the adult in the room, and all of the just sort of super gangly young guys and really angry fuck you wing players. It's a fun team to watch. They've been fun to watch all year, and I think they give Golden State a run for their money.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts on the Memphis-Minnesota series?
I want to see Memphis win because I cannot get enough of Ja Morant.
Yes.
All kudos to Minnesota on what they're doing. I want to see that. I want to see Ja Morant versus Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and see what that looks like. But I don't think Memphis has enough to get by the Warriors. They might pull out a game, but I don't think they can win more than a game against Golden State. They just are passing the eye test, and I know it's a bad defense, but they look so good. But I do, with the way, we know Ja has those 2 or 3 plays every game where he contorts his body into some position that a body should not be contorted into. I wonder what that looks like with Clay and Draymond on the defensive end. I wonder if they're able to keep him off of those spots, keep him out of the paint, make him just shoot the basketball, and what that will look like. I do want to say kudos to Karl Anthony Towns, though.
Yeah.
Much like we talked about with Embiid, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns has kind of been shit on by every big man that's ever played in the game. He pretty much just put his head down, worked on his game, and has gotten to this point where they do have a legitimate shot of getting to the second round of the playoffs. So kudos to the Cat.
Yeah, I like Karl Anthony Towns. I've always liked his game. He is the self-proclaimed best big man shooter of all time. Now I'll disagree with that.
Hasn't helped him in the playoffs.
It has not so far, but shout out to Cat. I think Minnesota had a great run, and this is the time where I'm willing to say that I'm actively cheering against Minnesota, specifically because of Patrick Beverley. He's probably the most annoying little guy in the NBA. He's very annoying. So
were you not a fan of his celebrating a Game 1 playoff win?
Well,
not the playoff. It was the play-in. It was the play-in against the Clippers. Look, that's right.
I get emotional when I'm in a big game. It's hard. I get it. He's an emotional guy, and it's exciting. Your team got a chance to get to the first round of the playoffs. I'm not gonna knock him for that specific action. It's just the way he plays, the way he carries about himself, how he tries to manipulate the game in a certain manner, and I just disagree with the way he goes about playing the game. He has big, black Air Force One energy. That's what I call it. So anyone who wears black Air Force Ones is a menace, and he has that energy all the way. So yeah.
I will 100% co-sign that.
Yeah,
All right.
I like the rest of their team though. Ant is great. He seems to be taking a step forward. And I know other analysts out there. Everyone is high on the Ant-Man train, and I'm much of the same. I watched the first two games, and especially that first game. It was like, wow, like this guy is doing stuff on the court and taking leaps forward and being a leader. And it's as if he's been in the NBA for like 5-6 years and is like a veteran, but that's just his personality. I'm sure you guys have heard him on interviews and stuff, and he's just that type of guy that the moment's never too big for him. So I expect more of that from him.
So that just made me think of something that I've been kind of noticing. We saw, you just mentioned Ant-Man. We talked about Evan Mobley came into the league and didn't really play like a rookie. Scotty Barnes is another one in Toronto that came in and played more like a seasoned veteran. We see Mobley and Garland were able to rise to the occasion even if their teams lost. Do you think we're starting to get past this, this era where players were deemed, quote unquote, soft? Because we saw Harden's really struggled in the playoffs. To this point, Embiid hasn't really done a whole lot in the playoffs. Ben Simmons has had his moments shrinking from the big moments. That's something that's sort of dogged LeBron for a long time, even though all the numbers show that it's not true outside of the 2011 finals. But do you think players are coming into the league more prepared for everything the league throws at them?
I think so. I definitely think so. And that is just the nature of our development program of basketball as a whole in this country. So with the advent of AAU, so I played AAU back in junior high school and high school, and it was nothing compared to what it is now, unless you were on one of those elite teams. So these guys are getting early exposure. The NBA is doing a really good job with their sort of development to make NBA players. And I just think basketball development as a whole is preparing these elite guys to be ready for their first stint in the NBA. And, I'll agree too. It just seems that, especially at the top, because it is, it's always the top heavy league. That's just always how it's been. It just seems like guys are coming into the league more quote unquote NBA ready. Of course, not in totality, but at least ready for everything that the NBA has to offer.
We still have to endure the yearly, we got all these guys in the draft, and, all these guys they need to bulk up. They're too thin. It's like, they're fucking 19 years old.
Yeah. Like, what do you expect? Yeah, it's 18, 19 years old.
And they all need to work on their shots.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah,
but
because they're 19.
So I've played a lot of basketball in my day, I will say. And I've played against NBA players people who would think, oh my God, they're in the NBA, they should be able to shoot. Everyone in the NBA, from the worst guy to the best guy, can shoot. Everybody can shoot. Now, doing it in the game is completely different. When you have, thousands of people staring at you, you're on TV, millions of people watching. I don't know what it is, but I will tell you that if you give a Rudy Gobert or a Steven Adams 10 shots from three, wide open, on a wide open gym, they're going to hit 8 to 10 of them. So everyone in the NBA can shoot. That's the only. I'm off my soapbox now. I just wanted to throw it out there. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. It's just something that was coming to mind. So yeah.
All right. Well, how about we wrap up? Jimmy, who do you think makes the NBA Finals, and who do you think wins the NBA Finals?
Warriors over Heat in 6.
Ooh.
Wow.
Over the Heat.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler's going to have enough to get past the Bucks.
The Warriors are plus 350 to win the title. The Heat are plus 750. Brandon, who do you like to play in the NBA Finals, and who do you like to win that game?
I hate sounding like the broken record of today, but I do have Milwaukee coming out of the East. I just think that their depth is just way too strong for even the Miami Heat. I think, the Heat have shooting, the Heat have, veteran leadership at the point guard. They have Bam Adebayo, who's a force in and of himself. He's actually a terrible person on an interview, by the way, but that's another story. We'll save that for the next podcast, which will be, guys in the NBA that should never have a microphone in their hands. But I have them beating Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. I have Miami beating Philly to get there, and Milwaukee beating Boston to get there. I actually pegged Boston to win this series in 7. It seems like doesn't seem like this is going to be going to 7. yeah, I think it might be less than 7, but. So on the East, I have Milwaukee, and in the West, I have Phoenix. I think Phoenix and Golden State get to the Western Conference Finals, and just similarly, I like their game strategy better than Golden State, even though Golden State has the better pure perimeter shooters. I just think Phoenix, if everyone is completely healthy, of course, that's contingent on that. Everyone healthy, Phoenix. Everyone not healthy, then Golden State. And I have Milwaukee beating Phoenix in the finals. If we get to that point.
Yeah, and the Suns you can get at plus 360 to win the finals. They're the current favorites. The Bucks are the third favorites at plus 500. You can get the Warriors for about plus 400 or plus 350 depending on where you go. I liked the Bucks and the Suns to have a rematch in the NBA Finals at the beginning of the season. I liked that a couple months ago, and I like it now, although I have also hedged on Steph Curry to be the NBA Finals MVP, which I think is a better bet than the Warriors to win the title. You can get Steph still at plus 500 to 600 to win NBA Final MVP. That is how I would bet it. I like the Bucks to beat the Suns. I think Giannis showed that he can find that next level, and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are just the perfect guys to pair with him, because Drew Holiday, I don't know where he finds the energy to defend all fucking game and then still contribute what he does on the offensive end. It's very impressive. Very impressive.
Oh, yeah. Holiday, I don't remember what coach said it, but their phrasing went something like, as long as I have a Holiday on my team, I know I'm getting good defense. So I think that holds true specifically for this one.
They basically got him for nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And all his brothers play almost like identical style, too.
New Orleans, they just let him go. Like, that guy can play. Like, he's a real player. Like, he's not a top 10 player in the league, but he's really fucking good. Like, that's a fail. That's a fail. It
is a fail. It is definitely a fail. We're going to chalk that up as one of the worst moments in Pelicans history, we'll say.
Well, it's probably that's a fail, relates to a lot of NBA teams, and that's probably a good place to wrap up. So, Brandon, thanks for joining us to talk some NBA basketball and help give our listeners a chance to figure out who's going to move ahead and place their bets accordingly.
Always a pleasure, always fun.
And Jimmy, thank you for joining us, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you again, man. There's no place I'd rather be, brother.
And I would like to thank all of you for listening and joining us on this NBA edition of No Broken Legs. I am Evan Belfiore. For Jimmy Champ and Brandon Fenty, we wish you a happy 420, and hopefully we get spring pretty soon. We'll see you next time on No Broken Legs.